Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here live at noon. This is Dee Dee Jones, Money Mastery with Dee Dee. You're seeing us on Facebook and YouTube, and who knows where else this might make it to. Today, we have a special treat. We are talking with John Jeppesen. I've known John for a number of years, and I know him to be a superior expert in dealing with home remodeling and furniture and all things about making your house a home. Thanks for joining us today, John. How you doing?
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, I'm so glad you could join us.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about, now your company is Golden Remodeling. What's the hot thing that you're doing for people these days?
Actually, a lot of people are interested in storage. First of all, they're interested in improving their home in a way that is lasting and will add value to it. And, they need the functionality of things that are stored to make all kinds of factors that might matter to them. And I love doing it.
Excellent. Yeah, I know I've seen beautiful pictures of built-ins you've created for folks that just are so classic, and they improve the look of the home and the function of the home. That's really cool. So I'm guessing that since you work with homeowners, most of the time you're dealing with couples. Is that right?
Right. So when I do that, I like to know who I'm talking to, and before I even make the appointment, I always ask, is there someone else that should be there? Because I'd like to hear from them. It's really my goal to put people at ease, that they know that I do care about what they're thinking, and that there might be a process whereby they narrow that down or refine it. So I'm very interested in their input. I am not interested in being that contractor that just does it his own way. That's not interesting, and it's not as productive, and I can do way better.
Well, that means it's the custom perfect fit for each person you work with.
Right.
But that isn't normal. That isn't every single contractor out there.
Well, it's important for me to make money, but it's very important for me to build good relationships, because it ultimately comes out in the quality of the product that I end up with. They like it more. They were involved in it. It fits their family to a T. They got asked questions, and they learned things they didn't know that would be important to them. And, maybe they had some anxieties, and I like to, remove those as quickly as possible, so they're developing things in a happy process.
How do you help folks understand the scale of what they want? Somebody says, I want a new kitchen. How do you help them through that process of, well, do they really need a new kitchen, or what is that going to look like? What's that educational project look like, process?
Well, I kind of try to get at what's their goal, which is kind of an odd question because most people don't back up that far to think about it.
Yeah.
But if they just want more storage, maybe I can help them out and not cost nearly as much as they thought they had to spend. Or I can look at it in different ways so that they're better informed and we have a better conversation. And I can go off and research things or bring to them solutions that are to problems that are associated but not exactly the same.
Yeah.
So we begin kind of a rubric for problem solving and just making it a good process.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, as an expert like you, when you come into a house, you're going to know the behind the scenes issues. As a consumer, I go, I want to open up my kitchen to my living room. And in my case, many years ago, the contractor had to go, yeah, we're going to have to put in support beams here. How do you help people understand the behind the scenes, the bones of their projects, and more than that, help them understand how important those bones are?
Well, for example, when I'm doing a bathroom project and it's a new bathroom, I always defer to the plumber that we're using to guide us as to where pipes can go. Do they have enough drops so that the drains function properly, that kind of thing. So I certainly don't think I'm the expert on every topic, and I like to use other people's minds in a way that improves people's confidence with where they're going, and they know that, yeah, we're going to build this, and when we get to the plumbing part, that's going to be taken care of, and then we can just have fun with the beauty after that. We can knock it out that way. And to your point about like load-bearing walls or something like that, I don't just, my thinking on demolition and removing walls is that you should go carefully, isolate it, uh, break it apart in small pieces. No need for a big dust storm of things. And it allows you to discover things along the way. And especially with structural walls, I always rely on a structural engineer to give their report. There's no winging it when it comes to the bones of your house. You've got to get it right.
Absolutely true. So dust makes me think of something. So when you're in the middle of a project and somebody's house is just like dust to the gills, I would think that there might be points in time where it could feel very anxiety inducing for those clients. How do you maintain the trust in the dust?
Well, one thing is I actually start projects telling them that this can be stressful to set an expectation
Yeah.
and that you need to take breaks from it.
Mhm.
Also, it's important to isolate that part of your house. So, for example, when I'm doing a bathroom, it's typically one of several bathrooms. I make sure that the function is there and that they're not stressing about something they haven't told me about that we could have taken care of. And for example, like the dust, I can put up a curtain with a zipper in it that keeps that room isolated from the rest. So they don't have to look at it. They don't get the dust and they're constantly cleaning up after me. I think that's unforgivable for, contractors to leave debris, dust, mess, disarray, and they think it's fine as long as they just achieve the outcome. I think of it more of a process and the quality of the relationship. It has to do with respect, like respecting
Yeah.
their home, respecting what they might get anxious about. So I ask about those things. I ask about, for example, how is garbage picked up here and what's the schedule and so forth in case we choose that option to get rid of debris so that it's not piling up and they just feel more anxious. But also, I just check in with them. I put a high premium on communication with texting them, asking them questions, taking pictures, and talking about it over the phone or Zoom sessions. So I guess I'm kind of high touch when it comes to communicating and making sure that we're on the right page, that it's flowing as we planned or better.
So let's take an example. Someone comes to you and you decide to work together to redo their bathroom. What are the steps that you take? What kind of contracts exist? How do you structure the engagement? What will that experience be like?
Thank you for that question, Ed. I'm kind of I differentiate myself in that regard. Uh, I like to put the homeowner in the driver's seat. Um, I prefer not to be a general contractor with subs that I'm managing. I like for those other specialties like plumbing and electrical typically to be direct relations with the customer.
But
Uh,
you can
I,
make introductions, right? You know
I
those.
make the introductions.
Yep.
They're frequently people that I refer that I know are very, very good, uh, so that I'm putting them in good hands. But I don't want to be that middleman, between this and that, and I'm just getting in the way. And I also like it reduces their cost because I don't have any markup on the labor of some subcontractors, typically. Um, so I like to make it a learning experience for them that's pleasant and surprisingly good if they're up for the task of managing a little part
Sure.
of it. I give them coaching, but I don't manage the person directly.
Okay. So is there a written agreement that you say, here's what I'm going to do and how it's going to work at the beginning?
Absolutely. I love that question too. I've seen a lot of contractor contracts that are two or three sentences and a dollar amount.
Yep.
That just doesn't work for me. Um, my contracts say the scope of work that details out each step and specifically what I'm going to do. If measurements are important, I include that. If the amount of tile that the customer needs to bring to a tiling project, I specify that. I often give them a text picture of the type of grout I think is the superior one to use.
Okay.
Um,
So
and
that's really saving the customer a lot of money because you allow them to buy the materials. No markup on your end.
some of the materials, all the beauty stuff as I call it, like tile, grout,
Yeah.
and the choice of wood, that kind of thing, is up to them. All of the stuff that's, like you mentioned before, behind the scenes, the
Two by
bones, if you
fours.
will, is up to me because the quality of the bone structure of it, if you will, determines the quality of the outcome and its durability over time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want to be in charge of picking 2x4s, but I don't mind picking tile. That's fun.
Yeah, you might as well have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like crayons for grown-ups.
Yeah, it is. I love going through those options too, because people bring me different choices and I tell them what the impact is of that a tile with regard to layout and how busy it makes the room look. Many times, the most frequent comment I get about style is that people want uh, clear, clean lines,
Mhm.
uncluttered, and sort of a quasi-industrial look. And that works perfectly with my favorite kind, which is shaker furniture or mission furniture,
Right.
arts and craft, trim work. All that is very clean lines.
Oh, and it's
Um,
beautiful craftsmanship too.
yeah, it's fun to deliver those projects.
Awesome. So I know you're a PhD and now you're a home remodeler. Help us understand how one makes those work together.
Well, that's kind of interesting. I often tell people that in the area of measurement, I'm very much overqualified.
I'll bet.
Uh, I have a doctoral degree in uh, psychology, but social science, measuring human performance and that kind of thing. So I got a lot of background in like cross-validating, using one method to calibrate the other method, double checking things, um, and not using a measuring stick, but an actual article to see exactly how it affects the overall project, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So that really helped a lot. And also just a discipline of thinking,
Yeah.
to plan things out in such a way that it's possible to make discoveries and modifications along the way because of the way you laid the project out. And when you come to that decision point, you can say, we could do it this way or that way. Which do you prefer? If
Yeah.
they'd really rather not deal with that decision, then I can do it. But I like to give people choices. I find that most people do like them.
They do. Yes. Yeah, but choices that point me in the right direction. Too many choices and I just shut down. I think you help folks get it to a
Right,
reasonable range.
right. For example, with bathrooms and tile, if they're choosing a very small tile, I say, now remember, this means there's going to be a lot of grout lines that you have to keep clean, or the layout's going to look a little odd because it's quite busy, and that's okay as long as it's the only thing that's a feature of the room.
Right.
You
Yeah.
get too many features, none of them look good.
Yeah. Yeah. It just
So
looks.
that's usually the kind of thing I do.
Boy, that's nice. What if you have a bathroom going on and you've got the husband going, I want big, 18-inch square tiles, and she's going, I want the little tiny 1x1s. How do you help them come to a place where they're both happy with the outcome?
Well, I like to give them an overview of the choices and what impacts those choices may have at a pretty high level, so that
Yeah.
it's not like I'm just bringing out examples of stuff I've done before. But I do that, and then I usually have mentioned it early in the project. I need one decision maker to communicate with me.
Ah,
I
okay.
don't work well with committees. Many people have had that experience where they're trying to please multiple people with multiple ideas. It's better if I can set the framework for a discussion for a husband and wife or uh,
Hmm.
the people involved in the decision, and then help them with that decision with giving them pros and cons that they may not be aware of. But then ultimately, it's usually best if I'm working with one person. However, I often, even though if I'm working with one person, I often email both of them, create a group so that they both get the same information. And that way I can help them communicate with each other.
Sounds like communication is the core to all these steps. It isn't the measurement, and it isn't the power saw. It's talking to the folks who are working with you.
Well, better relationships make better projects.
Yeah. So what makes a good client for you? And let me change that. So somebody looking to do some home remodeling, what are things that they should know, or what do you hope they're going to ask you or bring to the table?
Well, one thing I hope they bring to the table is examples of the things they think they might want.
Ah,
So like people will get on like a house.com and have pictures of things that they like. And it might be just like the mantle of the fireplace looks good. That tile's not what I want. So we can mix and match that
mhm.
based on the sourcing they have for their ideas. And I can, enlarge that by showing them pictures of my completed projects.
Okay.
And once I get a sense of their taste, I can come up with even more if that's appropriate. But I try to keep it manageable in terms of the number of options we're talking about so that the process of deciding doesn't become more difficult.
Yes, because I can imagine that would be overwhelming.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to do all the hard work, all the heavy lifting, so that the customer, really enjoys the process and feels like they're a part of it. And if honestly, if they're part of the process, they are going to like the result better
Yeah.
because it's almost like I'm a pair of hands making their dream come true.
Are there tasks that you see homeowners doing that would be much better done by a professional? Are there areas that you really wish you could nudge do-it-yourselfers to looking to the professionals to get it done?
Large expanses of drywall
Oh,
are
yeah.
better done by professional crews. I have deep respect for them. It's a hard job, and it's amazing how the quality they can get in a short period of time. And frankly, it's a good value. You get a lot for your money. So that's a good example. But in general, I tell people to not do their own plumbing or electrical. I say bad things can happen. Your house can burn down, or it can be flooded, or you have a problem that drips for years, and then you've got black mold or something else to deal with.
Yeah.
It really pays to work with a professional, and I know that if there are any professionals like that listening, they will nod and say absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I know those professionals too. We also know the folks who clean up after those messes as well.
That's right.
Much as we love them, we'd rather they weren't in business because of those kinds of mistakes. Other things are going to happen. You'll get business, but yeah, in general, if we can avoid
Right.
it. Yeah. So cool. Tell me about a project you've done recently that was particularly satisfying.
Well, for a couple up on Lookout Mountain, I did a set of storage containers, not storage containers, that's the wrong term. Some lockers that were 7 feet tall and then storage above that. And it was an alder wood with a beautiful walnut-like stain. And then below that, they had pull-out drawers for shoes and mufflers and so forth. And since they're on full extension glides, you get full access to that drawer underneath. So there's a huge amount of storage in a small amount of space. And it was really fun because I did ask those questions like, are you right-handed or left-handed? Which way do you want this series of 7 lockers to open? The same? Want them to open the middle and start left and right swing openings? And it did ultimately matter to them. I love giving them those choices.
That's wonderful. Now, 7 lockers sounds like quite the wild project. It's Brady Bunch or something.
It was pretty amazing.
That's pretty cool. So any other stories you want to share with us?
Well, I guess I got started in the business because I didn't enjoy corporate life as much as some people do.
Yep.
And I wanted to control my own fate. And I had the benefit of meeting a wonderful plumber who gave me all of his business
Oh my
almost
gosh.
immediately after seeing the quality of the work I did. Um, and that's where I gained an appreciation for walking in that man's shoes as far as, um, you know, what they bring to the project. And especially, it's best to consult a plumber before rather than midstream when you're doing like a bathroom project for the reasons I mentioned earlier. So a little bit of respect goes a long ways. And I feel that way about all trades. And it was a good lesson for me and a good way to start my business.
No kidding. Yeah. What a lovely entree. Yeah, because that's pretty different than social sciences, measurement, and human resources.
Right.
Yeah.
It is quite different. Ultimately, I really enjoy working with my hands and seeing physical results. When you're in a corporate job, you move paper around. It's important, but often it gets sidelined or is in a different path because of the way decisions are made or not made. And I just want, like most people, from the work that I do to matter. And so if I control a lot of the pieces of it and I can work closely with the customer, that's possible. And I do see a physical outcome and I do care about its quality.
Well, I've seen work you've done, and your quality is without compare. It's amazing. We have a door. We have an older house. Tons of doors don't work, but the one door you've replaced for me works so beautifully. So looking forward to eventually making more changes.
Yeah. I would say about doors, I have a special place in my heart for them, especially front doors. That door should open like a dream every time because it's your home welcoming you home. If it's the other way around, it's just not the right way to make
Gosh,
things.
yeah, it's sort of
It should be
karma
a
or
thing of
feng
beauty.
shui or yeah, something in there. That's true.
Yeah, it's good Zen.
Yeah, exactly. So what are projects that are not at the top of your favorite list of things to do?
Well, I refer all of the restoration projects that I get, where there's a mold problem
Oh,
or,
sure.
that kind of thing, because they do a better job of it. They do it all the time, and I just prefer not to do that. I would like to create, not repair something.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I remember you restoring some beautiful bookcases in Boulder at one point. That's what do you know the job I'm talking about? It was an older home, and I think,
oh yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
one was
on
just amazing.
Mapleton Avenue, I think, and it's
Yeah.
the historic heritage homes and so forth. And they had a lot of old time windows with
Okay.
old time trim on them, and they wanted to store books and other things that were important to the family all along one wall of that bungalow.
Yep.
And it was like about 20, 30 feet long with windows in it and radiators, and
Yeah.
um, the spacing of it was really nice. And I was also able to duplicate the exact trim that they had from back in the 30s
How did you
with
do
the
that?
new sections, just to pay attention to detail and
You had the right tools. I mean, you didn't go down to Home Depot and find that trim sitting in their bin.
no, I had to custom make each piece.
Okay.
But with a lot of those projects, you don't have to make everything custom. It's the pieces that really matter, like the front edge of the trim.
Right.
That's worth doing in solid wood with beautiful finishes. The box part of a cabinet, for example, that may not be so important to make the most expensive
Nice
material.
sturdy plywood that's finished nicely.
Exactly. And so
That,
that's the formula for good value. Get more for your money.
yeah.
And I really care about that.
Yeah. So it sounds like when people are doing projects, you can help them spend their money strategically. Don't splurge. Here's where you need to splurge. We can do these other things in ways that are good quality but aren't flashy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually enjoy finding things that we don't have to do. Not because I'm lazy, but because it allows them to repurpose that money or that effort in another way and get more. So I think I
So,
already said that before, but yes.
yeah, no. It's worth repeating. Absolutely. So I remember one time doing a project before I knew you, by the way, and it grew like 7 times. Do you find people doing that much, or are you pretty good about keeping them on track?
The project grew, you said?
And by the way, the growing was my fault, not my contractors. I take full responsibility. Yeah, it went from just a deck to a much bigger covered deck and a concrete pad and a new roof and air conditioning yeah. So,
Well, I think one of the values of being a contractor to guide a customer with decisions is to provide a good context for their project so that they know all the infrastructure that is required and so forth, and some of the options that many people select,
mhm.
so that they're not blindsided if something unexpected happens. It's usually a minor thing because we've taken care of the major things. Just like in many businesses, you want to know what their overall objective is. It's kind of funny for a contractor to say that because I'll just build stuff, right? No.
Yeah, it's
What
down to
do
that
you want
why.
more storage?
Yeah.
Do you want a focal point in this room? Would you really like to sell this house in 3 years and you've only got X amount of money? Where's the biggest bang for the buck? All those kinds of things are worth helping people think through.
Yeah. So another thing, because of the work I do, we talk a lot about aging in place. Do you work in that area much? And where do you see people really needing to make changes?
I don't do much right now. I understand the concept. One of the things I do, for example, like in bathrooms, I mean, this is where I do efforts in that regard. Uh, if the bathroom shower needs to be tiled, I always offer the option of putting a grab bar in now, or they might not personally want it. Many younger couples say, "Oh, no, we don't need that." But I say, what if you have your aunt or your great grandma visit or something like that, or you get sick for a while, or
Yeah.
you need that. And then if they really wouldn't rather have the grab bar, I often, it's not a big deal, but I put extra blocking in the wall and I map the coordinates of where a new grab bar could be put, where there'd be
Oh,
really good wood anchors for it, just planning ahead. And it takes like 15 minutes to do that. And is it a
yep.
value? Absolutely. It's worth
Huge
doing.
value. You're planning against the future, but maintaining the aesthetics for the time being.
Right. So if people are having difficulty coming to grips with aging, I say, well, that's okay. You can put it off later. Let's just do these things that make it possible to have those options later. And hardly anyone wants to say, no, I don't want to think, I don't want to plan for the future, or have
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yep. I'll plan, but I don't want the grab bar yet. I
Right.
draw the line. The grab bar is acknowledging our
That's the way it seems to many people.
mortality. Okay, that's cool.
Right.
Yeah, I talk with folks about that all the time, but I have a lot of trouble getting people taking action on that concept of age in place.
Well, it's kind of like building a peace of mind into the future.
Yeah.
Where when you get to that milestone, you're not throwing your hands up. You're saying, yeah, I've got that stored away in this place in my mind and my planning, and it's going to come into play. And you know what? I don't have to freak out about it. I'm going to
Right.
be happy because I've planned for a few contingencies. And
Yes.
that's very valuable.
Well, and I'm here to tell you that if your house can accommodate aging in place longer, your retirement will be less expensive because you will be able to stay there longer and not have to move into transitional housing, which is more expensive, or
That's
have an
excellent.
accident, which could be really life altering. So, just a plug for that age in place from a financial standpoint and a lifestyle standpoint makes a huge difference. Would love to see more of that, but
Yeah.
that's my little flag of trying to get people to react.
Well, that's excellent. That's really gives people something that they can count on. I mean,
Yeah,
further into the future, and
yeah. It's
and
it's
why
a
not?
it's a funny thing to have your financial advisor talk to you about. So, how wide are the doors in your house? Are they levers? Is the laundry on the same floor? And they're like, "Why are you asking this?" It's like, because that's going to change how much your retirement's going to cost you.
Especially, it won't become like a landmine that happens to you when you get to a certain part of your life.
Yeah,
You've already mapped things out. You know where all the things that could be problems are, and you know where all the opportunities are, and you can
yeah.
say, when I get to that, I've already got that in a file folder, and I can talk to Dee Dee or somebody else
Yep.
about that. And
Call up John to install that grab bar now.
right,
Yep,
exactly.
exactly. Yeah, and with COVID, I'm starting to hear noises about shifting the focus from long-term care facility to more in-home care, and that's going to make those housing adjustments that much more important. And I think better quality of life for everybody. I think everybody would rather stay in their home as long as possible. So just,
But just in promoting that to people, I think you're demonstrating that you do care about them as people.
I do.
Because it's not the ordinary thing to comment on. You're thinking about the whole picture and the whole person and how they're going to navigate, into the future.
Yeah, the next number of decades, not days or weeks, but it's decades. And you do too. You're looking at a house. How does it function now and how will it function into the future? And how do we make sure what we do now has a quality to it that will allow it to continue to function well into the future? So we do the same thing, you and I.
That's right.
You
I
just
do
happen to
it all
use.
the time with just making design choices that are timeless. That's why they call them classic, because
Exactly.
they don't go out of style.
Yeah. So, John, we have covered a ton of topics, and I always like to let my guests throw one wild card question back at me. What would you like to know today?
How did you decide to become a fiduciary?
Fiduciary. Well, let me start by, if those of you watching aren't familiar with that word, fiduciary is a common law term. It's not statutory, which means it's custom. It's come down through the ages. Fiduciary means I'm required to put my client's financial interests ahead of my own. And I'm a fiduciary because I'm a CPA. All CPAs are fiduciaries. So I've been a fiduciary since '86 when I got my CPA. When I came into the world of financial planning and wealth management, I got my CFP. All CFPs have to be fiduciaries. So by regulation, I have to be a fiduciary. But really more than that, it's an attitude of how do I best serve the people that I want to work with? And it comes down to, like you say, how do you look at the whole picture? And I want to make sure that the things we do don't just benefit me, but really are to the benefit of the client. And it's a win-win. So it's all about win-win. I mean, in a very brutal sense, I want to be able to sleep at night. I don't want to worry that something I've done might be anything less than the best idea for each client. So
the beauty of that too is that sometimes it's a little thing you mentioned that means the world to somebody.
And I never know which little thing it's going to be. So I'm very attentive to the things that I say and the suggestions and advice that I give. So well said. That's a lot of pressure I put on myself because of that. But I gladly take it on because I think it's important. We all want to work with folks that we can trust. And I want to be that person for people out there. So, and it's fun to see the parallels between what you and I do. We're looking at the now. We're helping families work together well, and we want to make sure it's working well into their futures. So,
right. Yeah. So sometimes when I'm looking for best practices, I can talk to you.
And back at you. It's kind of fun that way. Communicate like crazy. Reduce the range of choices to something a human mind can deal with, not that unlimited stuff that's out there. You know, you go into the Floor and Decor and More, whatever it's called, and my brain explodes. There's too many things. Narrow it down to 5 or 6, and then I can make a choice. So anyway, well, John, thank you so much. It's been absolutely a delight having you on our show today. An amazing expert for sure. We've got some nice comments coming in about people saying howdy. No questions yet. If anything comes in, we'll share it. As we post this, we'll include a link to John's website. He is currently doing remodeling work in the West Metro Denver area. Is that appropriate?
Yes.
And highly encourage you to reach out to him. If you've got general questions for either of us, of course, let us know. We want to be there and help you. Have a great day. We will see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.